introduce myself. I'm Seán and Vigil's agro this week. Last night, President Kilmine. On May 9th, 1916, 12 men have been executed by firing squad in Kilmainham and one in Cork jail. Many lie under sentence of death, not yet commuted to imprisonment. James Connolly, at that stage, lay wounded under a sentence of death, not yet commuted to imprisonment. James Connolly was gravely wounded in Dublin Castle. And the Irish people are shocked and sickened by the executions. But the British government is encouraged by the Irish Independent newspaper.
If these men are treated with too great leniency, they will take it as an indication of weakness on the part of the government. Some of these leaders are more guilty and played a more sinister part in the campaign than those who have already been punished with severity. Let the worst of the ringleaders be singled out and dealt with as they deserve. Editorial, Irish Independent, 9th of May 1916.
On May 9th, two of the men whose execution was demanded by the Irish Independent were tried by court-martial. Seán MacDiarmada and James Connolly. Seán MacDiarmada and Tom Clark, close friends and comrades, revived the Irish Republican Brotherhood and made its military council the driving force for the 1916 rising. After Pearse formally surrendered on Parnell Street, MacDiarmada addressed the assembled volunteers in Moore Street.
The only terms the British military authorities would listen to were an unconditional surrender. We surrendered, not to save you, but to save the city from destruction. You would have fought on. No matter, I am proud of you. You have made a great fight. It was not your fault you have not won the Republic. You were outclassed, that is all. They had the men, the munitions, the force. But this week of Easter will be remembered, and your work will tell someday.
Seán MacDiarmada was court-martialed in Richmond Barracks on May 9th and sent to Kilmainham to await execution. His final statement is dated the 12th of May 1916. It was timed 3:30, just 15 minutes before his execution. Before that, he wrote his last letter, and tonight we have with us some of his grandnephews, Moira McLinus, Kay McDermott and Michael McDermott, to read his last letter.
Hello, I'm Moira and my known as Grant. Seán MacDiarmada's last letter, Kilmainham Jail, Dublin, May the 11th, 1916. My dear brothers and sisters, I sincerely hope that this letter will not come as a surprise to any of you, and above all that none of you will worry over what I have to say. This is just a wee note to say that I have been tried by court-martial and sentenced to be shot to die the death of a soldier. By the time this reaches you, I will, with God's mercy, have joined in heaven my poor father and mother, as well as my dear friends who have been shot during the week. They died like heroes, and with God's help I will also throughout be as heroic as they were. I only wish you could see me now. I am just as calm and collected as if I were talking to you all, or taking a walk to see Mick Rin, or some of the old friends and neighbours around home. I have priests with me almost constantly for the past 24 hours. One dear old friend of mine, Father Brown from the Newth, stayed with me up to a very late hour last night. I feel happiness the like of which I never experienced in my life before, and a feeling that I could not describe. Surely, when you know my state of mind, none of you will worry or lament my fate. No, you ought to envy me. The cause for which I die has been rebaptized during the week by the blood of good men as ever trod God's earth, and should I not feel justly proud to be numbered amongst them? Before God, let me again assure you how proud and happy I feel. 'Tis not for myself so much that I feel happy, but for the fact that Ireland alone has produced such men.
MacDiarmada, enough of the personal note. I'd hope Pat to be able to help you in placing the children in positions to earn their livelihood, but God will help you to provide for them. Tell them how I struck out for myself and counsel them to always practice truth, honesty and straightforwardness in all things, and sobriety. If they do this and remember their country, they will be all right. Insist on their learning the language and history. I have a lot of books and I am making arrangements with one of the priests to have them turned into a library, but I can arrange that you get some of them for the children. You might like to get these clothes that I'm wearing to have them in memory of me, so I'll arrange if possible to have them and any other little things belonging to me that you'd like to have. Of course, for Dan and Maggie also. There are a few copies of a recent photo which you can take, and you might order more copies for friends who might like to have one. Of course, you got the letter I sent you a few days before Easter. By the way, when you're in Dublin, find out if I owe money to my landlady, and if so, pay her. I don't think I do, but at the moment I'm not certain. One word more about the children. Put some of them to learn trades if you can at all. You will see if they show any promise of mechanical or technical skill. They were too small when I saw them to advise. Tell Maggie she ought to try and get Mary Ann to go for teaching. I don't know what Caddy ought to do. As for Dan, I suppose he will decide for himself. God direct him. He need not regret for staying at home for so long.
Make a copy of this and send it to the others as soon as you can. A lot of my friends will want to hear about me from Seamus, Rose, and Kate. They can tell them all that in my last hours, I am the same Seán that they always knew, and that even now I can enjoy a laugh and a joke as good as ever. I don't know if you will require a pass to get to Dublin, but you better find out before you start. Perhaps martial law will have been withdrawn before you can come. It was passed for 1 month only, and I don't think that it will be renewed. If I think of any other things to say, I will write them to Miss Ryan. She, in all probability, had I lived, would have been my wife. I will send on aforementioned to my landlady, but she knows you all right. Goodbye, dear brothers and sisters. Make no lament for me. Pray for my soul and feel a lasting pride at my death. I die that the Irish nation may live. God bless and guard you all, and may you have mercy on my soul. Yours as ever, Seán. P.S. I have not mentioned Patrick or his mother, but they know they're included for old, very old time's sake. Yes, before there was even a thought of Maggie marrying Patrick, also Bessie, Mary, and Will. I'd love to clasp the hands of each and every one of you, and many other dear friends. But I will meet you all soon in a better place. Remember me to all my friends and give some money to Fathers Joe, Fathers Foy, and McLaughlin for Mass for me. Goodbye, Seán.
At this stage, 100 years ago, Seán MacDiarmada was on his way to the stonebreaker's yard. His final statement, which is dated this day, 100 years ago, is now going to be read by Pat McDermott.
I, Seán MacDiarmada, before paying the penalty of death for love of my country and hatred over slavery, desire to leave this message to my fellow countrymen. That I die as I have lived, bearing no malice to any man, and in perfect peace with Almighty God. The principles for which I give my life are so sacred that I now walk to my death in the most perfectly calm and collected manner. I go to my death for Ireland's cause as fearlessly as I have worked for that sacred cause during my short life. I ask that the Reverend Eugene McCarthy, who has prepared me to meet my God and has given me courage to undergo this ordeal, to convey this message to my fellow countrymen. God save Ireland.
Monsignor parted the broom of Maynooth at Vigil Seán on the 10th of May, and he paid tribute in verse. And Sligo Leitrim TD Martin Kenny will now read those verses.
Your pale dead face, with sure insistent claim, shall haunt my soul as long as thoughts endure. Walking remembrance of your wasted frame, afire with that all-conquering soul of yours. At last I saw you, captive in the net, and heard you in Kilmainham's prison cell, review the patient years with no regret, and say in sight of death, all was well. I know you walked, O sad lame steps to die, with high disdain for all who held life dear, and sacrificed their honour like a pawn. No dimness born of agony and fear was in those spirit eyes when carelessly they faced the rifles at the grey of dawn.
For Margaret Anish, Rosie Stewart, ballad Seán MacDiarmada and Connolly.
Although 100 years have vanished since 1916 came to fan the fire of freedom with a proud, exulting flame, we'll cherish in our memories a name we all adore, the name of Seán MacDiarmada, brave Seán from Corranmore. At the early age of 16 years, he left his native land to earn an exile's living upon a foreign strand. But he never forgot the hillsides or the tales he heard of yore, and back again to Ireland came Seán from Corranmore. He took his stand with others neath the banner of Sinn Féin to fight for Ireland's freedom and break the tyrant chain, and preaching freedom's gospel from Cork to Antrim shore. Men rallied round the standard of Seán from Corranmore. After years of careful planning came the glorious Easter days, when the rifles of the rebels from the GPO did blaze, and Emperor's might was challenged like it ne'er was done before, by a host of gallant soldiers and Seán from Corranmore. All too soon the fight had ended in the streets of Dublin town, where the face the mighty vengeance of the forces of the crown. The 1916 leader stood a firing squad before, but none faced death more gallantly than Seán from Corranmore. Now the heather bloom is purple on the Leitrim mountain side, and a blackbird song is singing where the woodland peace abides. The land he loved is beautiful as it was in days of yore, when Seán in happy childhood roamed the hills of Corranmore. Although 100 years have vanished since the fatal 12th of May, when he faced the British rifles at the dawning of the day, we'll follow in his footsteps and bear the cross he bore, and we'll fight till death for freedom, as did Seán from Corranmore. Get away.
I'd like us now to take a moment of silence in memory of patriot Seán MacDiarmada. After the surrender, James Connolly was taken to the military hospital in Dublin Castle. His ankle had been shattered in the fighting, and he lay in great pain for days as his comrades were executed in Kilmainham jail. On the 9th of May, Connolly was propped up in bed in the hospital to face the court-martial presided over by Colonel D. Spate of the British Army. James Connolly's statement to the court-martial will now be read by one of his relatives, well-known figure for recent years, James Connolly Hearn.
I do not wish to make any defence except against charges of wanton cruelty to prisoners. These trifling allegations that have been made, if they record facts that really happened, deal only with the almost unavoidable incidents of a hurried uprising against long-established authority, and nowhere show evidence of set purpose to wantonly injure unarmed persons. We went out to break the connection between this country and the British Empire, and to establish an Irish Republic. We believe that the call we then issued to the people of Ireland was a nobler call in a holier cause than any call issued to them during this war, having any connection with the war. We succeeded in proving that Irish men are ready to die, endeavouring to win for Ireland those national rights which the British government has been asking them to die to win for Belgium. As long as that remains the case, the cause of Irish freedom is safe. Believing that the British government has no right in Ireland, never had any right in Ireland, and never can have any right in Ireland. The presence in any one generation of Irishmen, of even a respectable minority, ready to die to affirm that truth, makes that government forever a usurpation and a crime against human progress. I personally thank God that I have lived to see the day when thousands of Irish men and boys and hundreds of Irish women and girls were ready to affirm that truth and to attest it with their lives if needs be. James Connolly, Commandant General, Dublin Division, Army of the Irish Republic.
Connolly was sentenced to death, and in case there was any doubt that the British might not carry out the execution, the Irish Independent wrote another editorial.
Certain of the leaders remain undealt with, and the part they played was worse than that of those who have paid the extreme penalty. Are they, because of an indiscriminate demand for clemency, to get off lightly, while others, who are no more prominent, have been executed? If so, leniency will be interpreted as a sign of weakness. Editorial, Irish Independent, 12th of May 1916.
By the time the paper was on the streets in the early morning of the 12th of May, James Connolly and Seán MacDiarmada were already dead. Connolly had been visited by his family on the night of the 11th. His daughter Nora described the scene. In her book, Portrait of a Rebel Father, she used the name Nunu for herself, and Senator Moira Devine will read from that Portrait of a Rebel Father.
Daddy's head was turned, watching for them to come in. Well, Lily, I suppose you know what this means. James, it is not that, Mama wailed. Yes, Lily, he said, patting her hand. I fell asleep last night for the first time. I was awakened at 11 and told I was to be shot. Mama was kneeling, her head on the bed, sobbing heartbreakingly. Daddy laid his head on her hand. Don't cry, Lily, he pleaded. You'll unman me. But your beautiful life, said Mama. Your beautiful life. Hasn't it been a full life, Lily? And isn't this a good end? Nono was standing by the other side of the bed. Tears were streaming and she was sobbing. No, said Daddy. I heard that poor Skeffington was killed. Yes, she choked. Daddy, they're all gone. All the best men in Ireland are gone. She gave him the names. Daddy was silent. Nono felt he was shocked, that he had thought he was the first to go. Today's paper said that it was promised in the House of Commons last night that there would be no more shootings. England's promises, said Daddy. You've only 5 minutes more, said the officer. Mama collapsed and was revived. Daddy tried to clasp her in his arms, but he could only move his head and shoulders. Nono could not move Mama. She stood as if turned to stone, and with a white face looked at Daddy. A nurse put her arms around her and led Mama away. Nono ran back from the door and kissed Daddy. I am proud of you, Nono girl. Mama and Nono stood on the threshold, taking a last look at him. They would never see him again.
pyjamas and accompanied by Father Aloysius and Father Sebastian of the Capuchins in Church Street. Connolly was placed on a stretcher and brought by ambulance from Dublin Castle Pier to Kilmainham Jail. The gates of the Stonebreakers Yard were opened and the ambulance drove in. Connolly was then tied to a chair and shot by firing squad. I'll ask now that Paul Stone of the Invincibles sing James Connolly, please.
The man was all shot through that came today into the barrack square. And a soldier I am not proud to say that we killed him there. They brought him from the prison hospital, and to see him in that chair, I swear his smile would far more quickly call a man to prayer. Maybe I don't understand this thing that makes these rebels die. Yet all men of freedom and the spring cleared the sky. I wouldn't do this deed again, for all that I hold by, as I gaze down my rifle at his breast, but then than a soldier I. They say he was different, kindly too apart from all the rest. A lover of the poor, his wounds ill-dressed. He faced us like a man who knew greater pain than blows or bullets ere the world began. Died he in vain, ready, present, and him just smiling. Christ, I felt my rifle shake. His wounds all open, and around his chair a pool of blood. I swear his lips set fire. Before my rifle shot that cursed lead, and I was picked to kill a man like that. James Connolly. Ah, the great crowd had gathered outside of Kilmainham,
their heads all uncovered, they knelt on the ground. For inside that grim prison lay a brave Irish soldier, his life for his country about to lay down. He went to his death like a true son of Ireland, the firing party he bravely did face. When the order rang out, present arms fire, James Connolly fell into a ready-made grave. Black flags they hoisted, the cruel deed was over. Gone was the man who loved Ireland so well. There was many's a sad heart in Dublin that morning when they murdered James Connolly, the Irish rebel. And curse on New England, you cruel-hearted monster, your deeds they would shame all the devils in hell. There are no flowers blooming, but the shamrock is growing on the grave of James Connolly, the Irish rebel. Many years have gone by now since the Irish rebellion, when the guns of Britannia they loudly did speak, and the bold IRA they marched shoulder to shoulder as the blood from their bodies ran down Sackville Street. The forecourts of Dublin, the English bombarded, the spirit of freedom they tried hard to quell. When amidst all the din came the cry, "No surrender!" 'Twas the voice of James Connolly, the Irish rebel.
And I call now for a moment's silence for the true son of Ireland, Seamus of Connolly. James Connolly was one of the first political prisoners in Ireland to undertake a hunger strike when he was imprisoned during the 1913 lockout. Another 1916 leader, Thomas Ashe, was one of the first 22 Republican hunger strikers to die during the 20th century. Among them also Seán McCaughey, who died 70 years ago yesterday in Portlaoise prison. Today we also remember one of the hunger strikers who shares the anniversary with Seán MacDiarmada and James Connolly. On the 12th of May 1981, Francis Hughes died in the H blocks of Lancash. We will conclude this last vigil here at Kilmainham Jail by remembering them all with the words of Eva Corboot, which is dedicated to the executed, dedicated to Roger Casement, who is to be executed in London on the 3rd of August. And we will have an event on the 3rd of August, and we'll let people know. But she dedicated these words, and they can be applied to any or to many, the countless Irish patriots who died for many generations and for many centuries.
Roger Casement. I dream of one who is dead, as the form of green trees float and fall in the water. The dreams float and fall in my mind. I dream of him wandering in a far land. I dream of him bringing hope to the hopeless. I dream of him bringing light to the blind. I dream of him hearing the voice, the bitter cry of Kathleen O'Halloran on the salt Atlantic wind. I dream of the hatred of men, their lies against him who knew nothing of lying, nor was there fear in his mind. I dream of our hopes and fears, the long bitter struggle of the broken-hearted, with hearts that were poisoned and hard. I dream of the peace in his soul, and in the early morning hush on the grave of a hero in the desolate prison yard. I dream of the death that he died, for the sake of God and Kathleen O'Halloran, yea, for love and the voice and the wind. I dream of one who is dead, above dreams that float and fall in the water. A new star shines in my mind.
I just want to wrap up this evening to thank everybody who came here tonight and all of the other nights that we had a vigil. It's been very uplifting despite being a very solemn occasion, and I want to thank us all, those from all over Ireland and beyond who came here. I want to pay special tribute tonight to those who travelled from Leitrim, especially those on the Kilty Clogher bus. It's been great. The likes of Rosie Stewart from Anna who sang for us, and Paul Stone. One of the people who's been here every night, and sometimes we forget to thank them, is Pat, who organised the sound and the stage here. The likes of Mark Kenny TD and Moira Devine, our Senator, and other elected reps who played a role kind of over the last couple of weeks. Councillor Miha McDonagh, who put together the scripts for every single night, and for Bartlett RC. And also especially for those relatives of those who were executed here 100 years ago. It must be a very poignant time for those especially, and I appreciate all of those who've joined with us at these solemn occasions. So, great guy man Shin, agus go mí amagah fad, agus just bhálam bhuichas a gháil liv, agus gymig sif slán an bach oil, agus go géim sif ar each on